So, welcome back to another episode of Fertility and Wholeness podcast. Today, we have a very special guest. Her name is Ashley Rocha. She's the founder of Ladywell, a pioneer hormonal health supplement brand for women, with the mission to make hormone care accessible women to recreate and empower women to reclaim their well-being. Ashley created Ladywell to address the root causes of hormonal imbalance and to close the gap around women's health. Her journey stems from personal struggles, driving her to craft holistic solutions to redefine self-care and support every phase of a woman's life. I'm excited to dive into this conversation today. Welcome to Fertility and Wholeness podcast. Are you tired of seeing that test be negative month after month? Will you ever stop having to take test after test? Are you scared of all the medical terminology, office visits, and misinformation you see at every turn on your infertility journey? If you answer yes to any of those, you're not alone. You are at the right place. I am so happy you're here with us. My name is Arianna. I'm a fertility care practitioner and a wholeness coach with over a decade of experience on the field. I created this podcast because I know what it is to feel alone and lost while navigating fertility problems. And after helping hundreds of women, teaching them how to not protract their cycles, boost their fertility, and navigate their monthly emotional roller coaster and get pregnant naturally, I am on a mission to empower women to take charge of their fertility journey. In this podcast, you will find heartfelt conversations, education, tips on how to take care of and understand your fertility, emotional support, simple lifestyle changes to boost your fertility, nutrition, self-care routines, tips for handling stress and anxiety with ease. We have amazing, exciting expert interviews and guests, inspirational stories, and practical advice on preparing for pregnancy and joyful delivery. Are you ready to reclaim your health, your life, and become pregnant naturally? If so, grab your green juice and prenatal vitamins. This episode is just what the doctor ordered. Ashley, can you introduce yourself and share with us your personal journey with hormonal health and how it inspired you to the creation of Ladywell?
Yes. Hi, I'm so happy to be here. I would love to share my stories. My hormonal health journey really began the moment I went through puberty. I was thrown into a cycle of just terrible periods. I had really big emotional swings. I had really painful periods where my cramps just really took over and I was taking 20 Advil a day. My doctor told me to just take more and more Advil, and I was just masking these symptoms. I had traditional PMS symptoms, but later, after a couple of decades, really, I realized I had PMDD. So PMDD is really PMS on steroids. It's really pumped up PMS, but it's the emotional piece that's really exacerbated. So those big mood swings and easy to anger and just feeling of unhappy, anxiety and depression can come with PMDD. So I really battled that for about 2 decades. And I really couldn't find help in the mainstream healthcare system. I went to my doctor. They just prescribed me hormonal birth control or SSRIs, which, I didn't feel like I needed, because once my period came, the symptoms would disappear. I knew I wasn't depressed, so I didn't need antidepressants. And then hormonal birth control, I tried all the different birth controls. They all had different side effects and it never really worked for me. At the end of the day, that was just masking the symptoms anyways. So it was never helping the root cause. And really the defining moment was in my mid-30s when I started trying to get pregnant, and I was having a hard time getting pregnant. And I realized I put the pieces together, there's something wrong with my hormones. I've been struggling with these really bad cycles my whole life. And then now I can't get pregnant. As women, we're told, PMS is normal. We should be putting up with this. But in the back of my mind, I always knew there wasn't something, I felt like this was abnormal. It was a little bit much and we shouldn't have to put up with that. But, mainstream culture, that wasn't a conversation at the time, that we didn't have to have PMS or even what PMDD was. So during that mid-30s, when I was trying to get pregnant, I was also studying herbalism. So I'm a trained herbalist. And so I really looked to the plant world to solve my issues and take my health into my own hands, because I knew that plants are so powerful. I knew that there had to be some lifestyle changes and supplements that could really help me overcome this hormonal imbalance or something, whatever was going on with my hormones. So I went to a functional medicine doctor, first of all, and really kind of got down to the testing piece of my hormones and my body. And I worked with other naturopathic doctors and herbalists to really create formulas that worked for me. I tried a lot of different things, and I really kind of honed in on the things that are best for women's health, best for balancing hormones, and created formulas that worked well to do that. And I was able to get rid of my PMDD. I was able to get pregnant. So I have 2 baby boys now. And I drastically changed my life through just taking my health into my own hands and finding those plants and herbs and adaptogens and functional mushrooms that really worked for the body. And also looking at your lifestyle and managing stress, changing my diet and all that kind of stuff. But through that journey, I've significantly changed my life, and it inspired me to create Ladywell because, it took me a little bit over 2 decades to get there. And if you really think about it, and if you have PMS or PMDD, a week of your life, a week of the month is taken down by that. If you add that up, that is a significant part of your life. That shouldn't just be compromised because of this hormonal imbalance when you can really fix the issue. So I was inspired to create Ladywell because I didn't want other women to have to deal with this and go through this battle. And took me so long, but it shouldn't take anybody else that long. The information should be easier to find. There should be more supplements out there that help women. And that was really the birth of Ladywell. And we've been in market for a couple of years now. And women are so excited because it's really great that we can finally take our health into our own hands and fix issues on our own. Get pregnant easier without having to turn to IVF right away, which is like $30K, right? And you really do need balanced hormones and a healthy baseline for IVF to be easy and successful. So all these things are important. Your base health is really important for not having PMS. And then in women who go through perimenopause, we're all going through these different life stages, whether we like it or not. And having a sense of balanced hormones and good baseline health is going to be crucial for just you being able to accomplish your goals in life and not being held back by your health or your hormones or your mental state or physical state.
Yeah. So you mentioned hormonal imbalance as one of the things that you want to address with your products and with Ladywell, with the help that you offer. So what would be some common signs of hormonal imbalance? Because somebody might be like, I don't think I have it. I think I do, but it's not that bad. I can live with it. I've seen a lot of women, like you're saying, they're not educated and they're really downplaying and they think it's normal. And my following question alongside with that is how your products address these issues, or how do they know which ones do they need?
Yeah, that's a really good question because hormone imbalance shows up in so many different ways and it's not super clear because we're not educated on hormones. We're not taught about them in school. Hormones are more of a new topic that have gotten press lately, which is really awesome. But for the most part, we're still pretty much confused on what hormones even do or what are signs of hormone imbalance. Obviously, messy cycles or irregular cycles when your period is irregular, heavy, or you miss periods, that's a sign of hormone imbalance. And that one's clear. But things like mood swings, if you have tons of mood swings around your period, it's an emotional roller coaster, that could be your hormones. Acne, bloating, fatigue is one that I think is really common that we just kind of can brush off easily because, life is exhausting. So you can really associate with a lot of different things. But if you're tired, even after a full night's sleep, then that is a sign that could be your hormones. Or if around 3:00 in the middle of the day, that's when you start to lose energy really quickly, that could be a hormone imbalance right there. Weight is a common thing with your hormones. So if you have a tire around your belly, or if you really can't just lose weight, no matter how much you work out or diet, you're just resistant to weight loss, that is definitely a sign of hormones. Thinning hair, hair loss, hair popping up where you don't want it, hair in your face, PCOS, sugar cravings. We all laugh about period time, eating a lot of chocolate bars. But that's a sign of imbalance situation. The food craving piece is definitely something to look at. The list just goes on and on, digestion, bloating, constipation, sleep issues. If you wake up in the middle of the night and can't sleep, brain fog. So really I would think about your life as a whole because your hormones are really control everything. So any part of your life, you can really kind of point to a hormone imbalance. So you should really look at all the things that are going on and try to even have a checklist. I have a checklist on my website that helps women go through what's going on and to help them identify if there's an imbalance in their system.
I'm so glad. I think our listeners are going to go check your checklist because there was so much to it. And like you're saying, is hard to say this one thing, right? It's a host of things or a combination of things, or sometimes we just don't. We blame it on something else too, right?
It's really easy to just like brush it off and I didn't get good enough sleep, or, I'm so busy I can't remember anything anymore. But there's definitely things you can do about it.
All right. So talking about acne and severe PMS and all the things that you mentioned. So I know, at least for me, when I brought it up to my OBGYN, he's like, well, you need to take birth control. Or even if I bring my 16-year-old to the doctor and say she has severe acne, they're going to do two things, Accutane and birth control at the same time, which to me is like, no, that cannot be the only answer to acne, teen acne specifically, right? But I think we are being told that that's reproductive health, right? The reproductive health stems around birth control and managing the symptoms, rather than to get into the root cause. And I think that's what is changing right now, at least with the culture. We're becoming aware that there is more to it, that reproductive health is not birth control. The reproductive health is more than that. And I think that's one of the things that I get when I tell people, oh, I do fertility care. And they either go two ways. Oh, that's for people who are trying to get pregnant, or that's for birth control. Like those are the two extremes, right? And I'm like, no, fertility care or taking care of your hormones or your hormonal care is more, it's life, right? It's our life. It's not for, obviously you can have those goals, but it's not the end goal for it. So how you can naturally enhance fertility through nutrition, herbs, or supplements? Tell us, how can we do that?
Yeah. And I think you made a really good point that reproductive health isn't necessarily, we shouldn't think about it necessarily the time we're trying to get pregnant. We all tend to do that. Like, okay, you want to get pregnant. Now let's fix our hormones. Like now let's address our issues. You really should be thinking about your reproductive health from the moment that you go through puberty, because how you treat your body will definitely be carried with you to your reproductive years. Like say you want to get pregnant when you're 35 and you're like me, your hormones are completely a mess. Like once you try to start getting pregnant, it's going to be a lot harder. So you need to protect and nourish your reproductive health from, the moment that you go. We don't think about it as like teens, but you should be taking care of yourself. And so you want to look at your lifestyle, your nutrition, your supplements, all these things work together to create a really great environment for balanced hormones and reproductive health. I think we all are somewhat familiar like what a healthy diet is, and you want to eat for your hormones. We're all going to be at different life stages, right? So somebody in puberty is something that has distinct needs to somebody that's in trying to get pregnant. Like there's fertility foods, and then somebody in perimenopause, like the different stages. So really easy way you can just Google this information, like what is the kind of diet I should be eating for my life stage. You want to really be targeting your life stages. And so women who are trying to conceive, there's definitely a lot of foods that really help boost fertility. And so I think that's a great place to start. And I definitely recommend adding supplements in at that stage. So things like CoQ10, vitamin D, folate, you want to start taking a prenatal as well. So you want to start taking these supplements far in advance from when you want to start getting pregnant, because the egg maturation cycle is about 90 days. So you want to make sure that you're getting those nutrients and nutritional stores up before you start trying to conceive. So I recommend a year before, but 6 months is also nice. So start taking a prenatal, start taking a CoQ10 type of supplement. On our website for Ladywell, we have a fertility booster, which contains CoQ10, folate, vitamin D, green tea. So it helps with your egg health, egg viability, fertility, your ovarian function, reproductive health. So you want to start taking these things in advance to really get your body prepped in order to get pregnant easier and then carry a healthy pregnancy as well. And then lifestyle changes are important. I think we all know that stress is terrible for us and it's really hard to avoid. That's why I always recommend taking something that helps with stress and helps you manage stress, especially if stress is an issue in your life. Stress can derail your hormones significantly. So we have a daily hormone balance on our website, which is great for women going through all life stages from puberty to perimenopause. And it's really a catch-all for hormone imbalances. It has targeted herbs and functional mushrooms, vitamins, amino acids. And how this relates to stress is it has adaptogens in it, which really help your body manage its stress reactions. So we can't avoid stress, but if stress comes in, then our bodies are easier able to just have a reaction that's not so severe. So if something will happen to you, it'll be no big deal. And that's a really important thing to a skill set to have in life. Like for example, ashwagandha is one of the ingredients in our daily hormone balance. And that's a really well-known adaptogen that helps you manage your stress and manage the impact stress has on your body.
I know you're talking like 6 months, a year, get prepared to get pregnant. But most of my listeners wanted to get pregnant yesterday.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
That's the problem, right? Yeah.
Right?
I was there.
So it is, it is. And it's hard because you're like seeing people around you getting pregnant. They don't have to do what you have to do, or they don't have the same journey that you have to take, right? So for somebody what would be a mindset shift for somebody that is like, I want this yesterday, I cannot wait 6 months for my health to get better, right? What would be
have to wait, but yes.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? You know what I mean? It's like, it's almost like we're stretching the time instead of like, it's not an overnight thing. That's what I want you to get. Like, what would you say will be a mindset shift, or how can they look at it without feeling like their clock is ticking and they're running out of time?
Yeah, well, I think I understand when you want to get pregnant, you want to get pregnant. And that's the common journey all of us are on. Taking care of you should still be trying to get pregnant while you're taking these supplements, right? I'm not saying like, hold off, like wait 6 months. But the mindset shift is that if you do set a solid foundation where you have like your hormone balance in order, or you have these nutrition stores up, it will set you off on a better path for, first of all, getting pregnant, but like staying pregnant and then postpartum time as well. A lot of the focus is on getting pregnant, rightfully so, and the pregnancy, but your postpartum self and your postpartum hormones really will matter. So you want to make sure that that's a solid foundation is for that as well. But having all your ducks in a line, nobody has a perfect life where we can like plan everything out. Like, especially getting pregnant is so unpredictable and feels like so out of control. The things you can do to control it is by making sure that you are eating healthy, taking the right supplements, de-stressing, getting enough sleep. And if you're checking those boxes, then you should feel good about yourself. And you should feel like that you're doing the thing that you can do the best, which is controlling your health. And then, hopefully that's enough to get pregnant. And if that's not, then you can go seek other help outside of that at a doctor for IVF type of treatments. But I think that before we even turn to that, we should definitely make sure that our foundational health is in order.
So you mentioned lifestyle and other factors that might be impacting your reproductive health. So what about endocrine disruptors? How can women identify them and eliminate them? Because those are things like they are within our control, right? Those are the things that we can probably literally choose.
Yeah, endocrine disruptors are important. And yeah, I think we can choose to try to avoid them, but also we can't in a way. Like the microplastics are in our water, like our to-go food comes in them. So we have to minimize them as much as we can because they are everywhere, and it's going to be like our world is so toxic and it's always attacking us. But yes, we can take steps to remove these things. Like we should always be using safe skincare. You can go on EWG's website and type in the brand of skincare you use, and it has a rating. It tells you if rated fair, poor, good. So you can see like what kind of toxins are in the skincare you use. You want to be using clean stuff when you put on your body because your skin is an organ. Whatever you put on your skin will sink into your blood, into your body, and affect your health and your future baby's health too. That's really important to keep in mind. And then just the way you prepare food. You don't want to use nonstick pans. You want to avoid plastic while you're cooking. Plastic cutting boards aren't great either. They're known to like get little plastic shards in your food. Like these things are all kind of invisible to us, but they do really matter. So I would really try to minimize the use of plastic in your cooking. Like try to drink clean water out of filter, minimize any kind of endocrine disruptors in your skincare. And then a few of them that are like less common, but like really are everywhere is receipts. Like the receipt paper has PFAS and like really bad things in them. So if you touch that paper or you crinkle that paper in your hand, it goes into your body. So just try not to touch receipts, like just saying no thank you at the grocery store. And then if you have kids, like don't let your kids touch these things either, because it's such a crucial growing period in their life. Like we don't want those touching their little bodies. And then candles, like artificial fragrances, perfumes. Like I hate perfume, but some people love like that smell of perfume and candles and all those fragrances. Unfortunately, those have bad things in them that can be endocrine disruptors. So try to find natural solutions to that, or just cut them out of your life. I did that one day. I used to light a candle every night, and once I learned this information, it was gone. So that ritual died, unfortunately, even though I loved it. And then your laundry detergent, like think about when I'm talking about your skincare, also this translates to the soaps in your house, your laundry detergents, like make sure those are clean, get rid of the ones that are fragranced, like those have bad fragrances in them, unfortunately, as well. There's a lot you can do. You got to you got to walk around your whole house and look at the products that touch your body and just throw them away.
My husband is like, why are we throwing everything away? What happened to all the cups? I'm like, they're not good for us. I have 4 daughters. So I was like, I got to take care of their hormonal health and my son too, right? But I was just like, this is not good for us.
And eat organic food and try to avoid pesticides. That's a big one as well.
Yeah. So it becomes a little expensive, but it's worthwhile because,
we sometimes with like how obsessed I am with endocrine disruptors, but I think in the end it's going to do me well.
All right. So my next one goes more into the emotional, spiritual side of our lives. So how does faith, emotional resilience plays a role in supporting women's reproductive health? What is your take on that?
Yeah, that's a hard question. I think that emotional resilience is extremely important, especially in the fertility journey. As you said, like once you want to get pregnant, you want to do it immediately. Even for people who get pregnant fast, those first few cycles are very trying and there's so much unknown there and it feels really hard. But coming from a place of really being solid about what you want and your goals in life, okay, I definitely want kids. I know that. And just knowing you can get to whatever end goal you want, no matter what. Everybody has a different faith. Everybody has different spiritual outlook on life. But I think, especially with having kids, like it's a hard journey. And if you know and are confident that no matter what, there are going to be solutions, because there are solutions out there. It is really hard. It can be very expensive. But there's a lot of different paths we can take. And just trusting the process, I think, is the biggest thing. Like so much is outside of your control, but trusting the process.
So you experienced a waiting to get pregnant, trying to figure out your health. How long was that process when you're like, I'm herbalist, I need to get these answers, I need to figure it out? What was the time frame that you had between the aha moment and the positive pregnancy test?
Yeah, so I tried to get pregnant for about a year without getting pregnant. And then I took a little break. And then I eventually just got pregnant naturally after I started, well, not naturally, but like I wasn't necessarily trying at that time. But yeah, it took me a year of just not getting pregnant before. And during that time, I was like really like diving into my reproductive health and my fertility and my hormone journey. So it took a little bit of time. I would say it was like 3 years before I eventually got pregnant. And I think the important thing is I have some friends that I've talked to that they want to get pregnant, but they're not getting pregnant and they're worried about it, but they don't really do anything about it. I think that's like, for me, it's a hard thing to hear because you have to really take steps and do things and change your body and change like your mindset or make some changes in your life. You can't just wait cycle after cycle, because if you're 35 and you do try to get pregnant, a year goes by and you're like, okay, time does add up. And then eventually you might be like 39. So you really should address things and try to take your hormonal health into your own hands. Like earlier than later is what I recommend, because it can be a process and getting pregnant does take a while for a lot of people.
So what would you say were like looking back at that 3 year, right? Between like you being intentional, you like doing the things. What are the insights that you gain from that time that you're like, it was hard, it was painful, it was women, or a lot of our listeners might be like, yes, I want to do something, but I don't know how extreme I can be, right? Or they take the extreme and it doesn't work because they have not fixed the imbalances to begin with, right? And then IVF fails, or they get to a certain point and then they're like, the doctor says, just wait 3 more cycles, and they just go home and sit down to 3 more cycles, and then I'm like, no, that's not what you're supposed to be doing. Okay. So what key insights do you have for that? And then my second one, my follow-up after that, between ovulation and period or positive pregnancy test, there is this huge buildup, right? That we're like, am I pregnant? Am I not pregnant? And then alongside severe PMS, negative pregnancy test and PMS mix can bring a whole host of emotions and discouragement. And so I know you navigated sort of that. So can you speak to your own experience and maybe speak to our listeners, like looking back, this is what I would have done different, or looking back, I would honor these things and seek this type of help or do these things for my self-care?
Yeah. Well, to answer your first question, I think it's important for women to educate themselves on your hormones, on the cycles, on just everything around getting pregnant. Waiting until you want to get pregnant and then like trying to start learning things then. There's a lot to understand. Like, for example, I recommend tracking your cycle. You should be tracking your cycle for hormonal health in general, for your period, to really understand, your PMS, PMDD, like anything around that. But that's really understanding your cycle, where you are in your cycle is crucial to getting pregnant, of course, because we only can get pregnant a few days a month, like depending on your age, the window gets smaller and smaller. So knowing when you're ovulating, knowing when you are in your cycle, and just getting used to that, just practice in general is extremely helpful. And understanding like what these different phases look like and how your body reacts is really helpful too in managing things like PMS and PMDD or any kind of hormonal imbalance symptoms. So just having the education and the foundations in order, like if you want to get pregnant, you should go off birth control pretty far in advance. Like I know that they say that you can just go off birth control and immediately get pregnant, and that's probably true for some people and probably true for not other people. So like I recommend detoxing the birth control from your body and getting rid of that far in advance for trying to get pregnant. And so just prepping your body in that way. And once again, taking your supplements in advance is always good. But then for your second question about, yes, like the waiting period and then the intermix between like the PMS and then the no positive fertility test. Yes, I mean, it's a hard time. And once again, like what I'm trying to preach to people is like, you don't have to have PMS. And if your hormones are in order, that allows you to better be able to handle emotional stress and regulate your emotions and be more firm and confident in your body. And so I really do recommend for all women to be constantly taking care of their hormonal health and addressing it. So you shouldn't be battling with PMS that's really severe, and it will play a huge role when it comes to like, okay, a pregnancy test that's not positive, you've been trying for so many cycles. But if you have like bad PMS and then not getting pregnant, those are two things that are a clear sign of like, hey, let's look at our hormones and our fertility and all that kind of stuff.
So I know I looked at Ladywell, and you do other things like postpartum depression, perimenopause, menopause. You target all range of woman reproductive years, right?
Yeah.
I do have, because we're all going through all the seasons, whether we like it or not. What can you say about those seasons too? How can we take care of ourselves during those seasons, whether we have children or not? We all going to go through them. Perimenopause, menopause. I know a lot of women suffer through those years because they're years. And they're like, I have no libido, I have vaginal dryness, can't sleep, I'm overly anxious. And they're like, I don't know where to go. Like my doctor is not a lot of help. As there is hormonal technologies or supplements, or I'm not beyond that. What else can I do?
Yeah, well, I think the answer is like always take control of your health through your supplementation and through your nutrition and lifestyle. Like those are the things that you have control of. You have control over what you eat, how you exercise, supplements you take. And this will be a tool, like those three things will be your tools throughout your whole entire life. Because you're right, like when you go into perimenopause is a really turbulent time for a lot of women. There are so many different symptoms of perimenopause, like just even random ones like frozen shoulder and like your body odor starts to smell. But like it's so common for tons of brain fog, just like a sense of blah, major mood swings, irritability, fatigue. Like these things women suffer with these significantly during perimenopause. And it's been super common, and where women have been told like, that's just part of being a woman during perimenopause. Like you have to put up with that. But there are supplements that really help you control those symptoms and help. And like, say you have vaginal dryness, like there's lubes out there that are targeted for people in that stage of life. Libido supplements that help that. So there's tons of plants that are really amazing that really can help us in these different life stages. And it's about I know the information's hard to find sometimes, but that's why I started Ladywell, because I wanted to create these supplements, give these plants, and make it more accessible for women to find this information and find supplements that can really help them through these different life stages that we all go through.
All right. So if you can leave our listeners with one powerful insight, it could be a book, it could be do this. I know you talk a lot about hormonal health. I know we can go to your website and get all the information, even the quiz. one powerful last insight for them, what would that be?
Yeah, I know I mentioned this, but I would say track your cycle and start understanding your cycle and be one with your cycle. Know where you are, know what that means, know how to treat and nourish yourself during that phase. So there's so much information out there about like cycle syncing and eating for the phases of your cycle. And if you really start to understand your body, that is such a gateway into a better way of living. And especially when we're trying to get pregnant, like those different phases are going to really matter. And so really understanding that and just being educated around like what a woman's cycle is, what these different stages are. How do I know when I'm ovulating? What are the signs? Like there's a lot of signs in your body that you're ovulating, right? So having those different signs is really helpful. And especially if you don't want to get pregnant too, like you know when you're ovulating so you don't have sex. Like just knowing your body is so fundamentally crucial for us and empowering for women. So I would definitely recommend that's a great place to start. And there's so many different cycle syncing apps right now and technologies out there that really help you do this in a really fun and educational way. So I recommend checking that out. Find our supplements at getladywell.com. Our handle on social is Get Ladywell. And then we're offering 20% off for your listeners, so Arianna 20, and you can shop on our website.
But yeah, connect with Ladywell at getladywell.com, Ladywell on social media. There will be a code in the description notes for you to take advantage of the discount. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and insights with us today. We truly appreciate your time and generosity. Please, everybody, check her out. She will be the go-to for supplements.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. If you enjoyed today's episode, we got a special treat for you. Join our free Facebook group where you can connect with other amazing women and share your thoughts. Join us by clicking in the link in the show notes. We can't wait to welcome you into our supportive community. And don't forget to come back for our next episode, where we'll be sharing even more inspiring stories, encouraging tips, educational insights, and practical strategies. Oh, and before you go, we have a tiny favor to ask. If you found today's episode uplifting and helpful, please leave us a review. It's like giving us a virtual hug, and it helps other amazing women like you find our show. Plus, it makes us smile from ear to ear. And hey, why stop there? Share the love. Tell your Betsies, your mom, your sister, and even your favorite barista about our podcast. The more, the merrier.